Hello, welcome to EverydayHDR.com. My name is Blake Rudis, and today I want to talk about snow and HDR. Thankfully, today was the first day of snow, and the first day of snow I've seen in a long time. It wasn't fun shoveling it, but it was fun photographing it afterwards. So, the thing about snow is that snow is white, and snow doesn't always come out white in pictures, or sometimes it comes out way too white in pictures. And then when you take HDR images of them and you tone map them, you can make the snow look pretty bad. So I just thought I'd go over some of the tips and tricks that I have here for working with snow, and I'm going to process this photo from Photomatix all the way through Photoshop and show you how I deal with snow in these types of pictures. So I've got this already set up to a decent amount of settings for me here for the image that I like. What I do like about this is that the sky looks like the sky that I saw tonight, but the snow doesn't look like the snow that I saw tonight because the snow is not white, it's a grayish color. Now, here's the kicker with this whole snow thing is that snow is white, so if you want to make it better in your HDR photographs, you're going to go ahead and kick up your white point. It makes the snow look better because it makes the snow look rather white, but it blows out the sky and blows out all your other details. So there's a couple ways we can combat this, and that might have been too high. Maybe there would be a little bit better. But the first thing I do is just go ahead and process the image just as I saw it. These settings right here worked great for this image, but I don't want you to feel the need to rush around and try and rate these down real quick because it's not going to be the same settings for you. The main considerations here for snow are going to be in your luminosity slider, your white point slider, and also sometimes in your smooth highlights if there's a lot of highlights in your snow, but there's not too many highlights here. I don't really care for the smooth highlights being way down on this image. I prefer the smooth highlights to be pretty high up there to get that sky back to the way it was. Some people like this type of HDR sky. I don't really care for it because that's not what I saw. That's what I saw. I usually don't go any higher than medium on the whole lighting adjustments over here. And saturation I don't mess with too much here. I like the saturation and the highlights here because of what it's doing with the sun and the sun coming down on the snow. But don't get yourself overwhelmed with the settings. The settings for every photograph are going to be different. The things you want to know is that when you adjust the white point slider, it's going to adjust your white, so it's going to adjust these nice snow piles we have here. So I'm going to go ahead and process this. Now I processed that for the sky that I liked, not for the snow that I liked. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do to get that back in a second. So I'm going to go to File, click on File. Sometimes it'll take a little bit of time. Okay. Oh, File, Save As. And I'm just going to save it in the folder that I came from, which was the folder from my stuff today, and put an A at the end of it. I'll make that a capital A so you can see it better, and press Save. Now what you can do is go back to, I believe it's Automate, no, Process, Undo Tone Mapping, or press Control Z. So if you press Control Z, it's going to bring you back, wishful thinking, I'll just do Undo Tone Mapping. For some reason Control Z didn't work for me. It brings me back to that 32-bit file right here. Now I can go to the tone mapping again and retone map it. So what I'm going to do now is hike up the white point to get that snow, and then I'm going to process. So I'm making two of the same image. If you can smell what I'm stepping in already, I'm probably going to use a mask in Photoshop, right? Some of you may know that already. I'm going to save this as B. And I can go ahead and close out of here. Go on over here and open up A and B. I'm going to go ahead and bypass my camera raw settings. So now I've got two of the same image. I'm going to go ahead and press the V key on the one for the sky and move it over. And while I'm moving that over, I'm pressing and holding Shift to maintain that picture gets moved over right to the center of the other one. If you don't press and hold shift and you move it over, it's going to be like one of these games where you're trying to find the magnetic corners here to work for you. It doesn't always work out so well. Luckily for us, it did in this one. Now what I'm also going to do is click on both of these by control clicking on both layers, control click just outside of the text here, and there's a little double mirror right here. Go ahead and press that and press OK. That's going to make sure that both of these pictures, if there was any movement in them for some odd reason, it's going to make sure that it matches them up perfectly. There was no movement between these two pictures, but just in case, it's a force of habit just to make sure that they blend well. So now what I can do is make a new layer mask on this layer. Press the B key for the brush tool, and for the brush I want to use a low hardness and a large size brush, because basically what I'm going to be doing here is painting out all this stuff right here. And then if you want to change your brush size, you just press the left bracket key or the right bracket key to make it bigger. Alright, so now what do we have? We have all of the luxury of our sky being correct and all of the luxury of our snow being correct. Now you could say, well, why didn't you just adjust the curves in it? And I could have just adjusted the curves in it, but the white point slider does some more particular things to those white areas that I like more than just adjusting the curves on the other layer. So now what I want you to look at here is that the snow is blue. And I don't know about you, but when I was here I didn't see any blue snow. And that's a very common thing in a lot of photographs. If you want to fix blue snow, go to a new adjustment layer, go to hue saturation, and then right here where it says master, you're going to go ahead and click blues. And now if you watch when I move the blues up, I mean, the snow is pretty much made out of blue. It doesn't even look like it's made out of white, right? So we need to fix that. So we're going to dock down the saturation just a little bit and then move the lightness over to the white side. See how now we're starting to get snow. You know, if that's blue, that's snow. That's blue, that's snow. So that helps right off the bat. That helps. So the next thing I want to do here is I don't really like how the sky is blending. There was more of a let me zoom in here. There's more of a blowout in this area of the sky, and I know you don't want to always have blowouts in your images, and people shy away from blowouts, but in reality, this was a sun that was going down, and the sky was blowing out. It wasn't this HDR heaven that we have here. So what I want to do is I want to create a, actually I want to go to select, make sure you're on the background layer, original layer, select, go to color range, and then go to highlights, press OK. Now it's going to make racing ants all over the area, and what I want to do is go to curves. So what I've just done here is made a curves adjustment layer of my highlights and my highlights only, and it's unedited now. So if you see those marching ants go away, the reason why they go away is because they've become a mask now. And if you want to see that mask, you can press the / key, and it'll give you like a red haze over that. And that's important. You want to click on the mask itself and go to the feather and put that up to about like 25% so that it just blends everything nice and well. Now you can press that right bracket key, or not, sorry, the / key, which is next to the right bracket key, to go ahead and get rid of that haze again. Now, what I want to do here is just kind of pull up the highlights just a little bit. Not that much, Blake, just a little bit, just a wee bit, and get just a little bit more of that in there. Now what we've done with that is not only have we added a little bit of blowing out to the sky, we've also kind of fixed our sun a little bit here. Made that look like it's peering through the trees just a little bit more. And made a little bit more accurate gradation within the sky there. So now, it's looking pretty decent, but I want to do some dodging and burning. So I'm going to go to a new layer, press Shift and F5, and make that a 50% gray fill. And then go to overlay. It should disappear. The gray's disappeared. But now when you go to the dodge tool, make sure you got mid-tone set. Your exposure is going to be set to about 15%, protecting the tones. And if you have a Wacom tablet like I do, or Wacom, I don't know how they pronounce that. I always say that wrong. Click that on. It makes it easier to adjust your pen pressure by how you press down on the pen. If you don't, you can use your mouse. It's perfectly fine. So now I have the dodge tool selected, so anything that I hit with the dodge tool is going to become lighter. And then as I'm painting in these areas, like these areas I want to become lighter, and I'm kind of just hitting on highlights and really kind of pushing and pulling those highlights and shadows a little bit. And I really like hitting on these highlights a lot when I'm dodging and burning, because it just kind of pulls them forward a little bit more, pushes them away from their background. And this is really kind of important when it comes to reflections. I always do this with reflections. The top side of the area that is being reflected, I usually dodge, and then I burn. And at any time, if you want to switch tools, you can press the Alt key, and it's going to automatically switch to the burn tool. Now, when I'm doing reflections, I like to burn the reflection part and dodge the part being reflected. What that does is it helps to give you a separation between what is being reflected and what the object actually is. I guess what is being reflected and where the reflection is. How about that? Yeah. Sometimes it's hard to talk and draw at the same time. I remember when I was in art school, I'd like to look around the room at the kids that were drawing, and while they were drawing, they had their tongues hanging out of their mouth. I thought that was kind of cool. And then you'd ask them, hey, why is your tongue hanging out? I'm like, what are you talking about? My tongue's not hanging out. It's kind of funny because if I wasn't talking while doing this tutorial, my tongue would probably be hanging out. And right now I'm dodging. I'm still holding Alt, and as I hold Alt, it's dodging all those areas out. Another area I want to dodge is right here. Maybe right here a little bit. And over here, kind of push that away from you, even though it's right in front of you. Maybe hit the highlights, unclick Alt, unselect Alt to go back to your dodge tool, and just start dodging out those highlights. Now let's see the difference between our dodge and burn. It's like night and day. Here we have like a flat, low depth image, and here we have something that's starting to come off the page a little bit more. And I think we're looking pretty good here. I think I'm good with that. So that is how to make your snow HDR pictures just a little bit better. Now again, all of these settings aren't going to be perfect for every one of your images. I highly encourage you to experiment with each step that we went over there. Main key points. I know you want to get lazy and do everything in one tone map process, but I would shy away from that. Try and get yourself two good things to work with in tone mapping. Two good tone mapped HDR images to work with for post-processing. I'm getting tongue-tied today. I did a lot of work. I shoveled 3 driveways. So the other thing you want to remember is that snow is not blue. Snow is typically white. So that hue saturation layer, to modify the blue in there, bring the blue saturation down just a little bit and adjust the luminosity of the lightness, a little bit of that blue to the right, make it a little bit whiter. It looks a lot better. And then that curves to go ahead and give that sunset a little bit of aura around it, instead of it being just that flat sky up there. I like that gradation. Again, this is www.everydayhdr.com. My name is Blake Rudis, and I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you have a great holiday and everyone drives safe and eat a lot of food. Whatever holiday it is you celebrate, I'm celebrating there right with you. Have a great one.